Arizona's family spent last week focusing on the race for U.S. Senate, so now we turn to the race for Arizona governor.
On the Republican side, current Governor Doug Ducey hoping to seek re-election. He'll be facing off in his primary against Arizona Secretary of State Ken Bennett. For the Democratic nomination for governor, state lawmaker Steve Farley, Kelly Fryer, and David Garcia will be the names on the ballot.
So first up, David Garcia. He is an Army veteran with a doctorate in education and a professor over at Arizona State University. He joins us in studio this morning to talk about his campaign. Good morning to you. Let's talk about education.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good to see you. The students in Florida returning to Marjorie Stoneman High this morning after that tragic shooting. What are your ideas on keeping Arizona schools safe?
You know, I come from a unique perspective here. I'm born and raised in Arizona. I'm a product of Arizona's public schools. First in my family to go to college, which I always mention because we have so many young people in Arizona who are trying to use education to further their to further themselves and their families. And it's the one issue in Arizona where we need to put attention. It's the issue that is continuing to lag behind in Arizona. And with respect to school safety, students are going back, but yesterday there was an article in the paper that we have the highest student to counselor ratio in the country. Almost 1 to over 900 students. That is way too many. For students who need some assistance, first generation college students who need guidance, for example, those counselors, those support professionals are really important. A place for students to go to if they're having difficulties so they don't turn to situations where they may become violent, for example, as a solution.
You got the endorsement of the Arizona Education Association, so education is really the forefront of your platform in this gubernatorial race. What are your plans? How do you respond to the Red for Ed movement? And what are your plans moving forward? And I guess maybe bottom line, where do you see that Governor Ducey has failed the students and teachers?
Well, I have gotten the endorsement of the Arizona Education Association. You know, when 50,000 teachers walk out, they're sending a message. This is not me, this is our teachers sending a message. We have been cutting deeply in public education in Arizona. We are $1 billion behind to get to 2008 levels. That is how deeply we've cut. I'm proud of our teachers for stepping up. I've always believed, and in my time in education and education policy, that teachers needed to take control of this issue, and they did through Red for Ed. And so it is our teachers that are demanding not just an increase in teacher pay, but an improvement in schools overall. Because it takes a lot of people to get students ready for the classroom. And we've got to look at improving schools in general. I'll give you one example. My daughter gets on the bus every day. The very first person she sees is Miss Melanie, the bus driver. Miss Melanie has a really important job, and that is getting her to school safely every day. And if we're going to have great schools in Arizona, it's taking care of Miss Melanie and teachers and counselors and everyone else that's making schools work. It is that commitment right there that Arizonans are behind. They want to see a change, and it's the #1 issue that folks look at and say, we need a change in governor because we're not investing like we need to in public education.
I think people want to see raises for everyone concerning the schools and better textbooks and everything like that. Is the money there, or are you proposing raising taxes?
Money is there. First and foremost, our teachers are pushing Invest in Ed, which I'm behind, and our teams have been we're collecting signatures to get it on the ballot. It is a dedicated revenue source, and I want to make sure the public understands that. This is money that is collected and goes straight to education. Our educators saw the legislature in action and saw the real disregard for teaching and for teachers, and know that we need a dedicated revenue source so that when they return back to the classroom, they're assured that the money is going to get to our public schools, which is important. But we've also got to close tax credits that are seeping money out of public education. And we've got to close corporate loopholes in Arizona. And to do that, you've got to be strong and make sure you're not taking lobbyist dollars, which we do not, so that when I'm in the governor's office, we can address that.
But you did take $7,000 from a lobbyist.
We have 20,000 donors, approximately 20 people slipped in that we weren't able to screen. All that money's going back so that I can keep my commitment.
Okay, so it was just an oversight?
Yeah, so if you call, if we find out you're a lobbyist, we say, no, thank you. Occasionally, some people actually who gave didn't know they were registered lobbyists at the time. All of that money is going back to make sure that we maintain our promise. Look, I'm from Arizona, born and raised, and my commitment is to serve the people of Arizona. And the way to do that is you've got to win with people power. And that's the strength of my campaign. Like I said, we have 20,000 individual donors on our campaign, 3,800 people that are actively working with our campaign, 15 teams across the state, and it's that kind of people power we're going to need to get over the top. In
Millions
November.
of dollars have been spent in ads really attacking you, primarily, from the Republican Governors Association. So how do you contend to have the resources to battle that if you do move forward towards November? And I want to give you a moment to talk about immigration, certainly from a military background as well. National security is of the utmost importance to Arizonans, as you know.
Well, we'll start with the $7.2 million. That's the latest money put into the ad, or put into against my campaign from the Republican Governors Association. Look, that tells me two things. Number one, Ducey is vulnerable, and number two, we're the team that can beat him. And the way to get over that, because you're not going to have the same resources on the other side, but I'll say it again, you need people to battle that money, and that is exactly what we have on our campaign. I am proud to say we have so many people that are already engaged. The secret to winning in November is voter turnout. The secret to winning in November is to getting out to populations, getting them excited, getting them to the polls, and our campaign can get that done without question. And it's the reason why the Republican Governors Association is already coming at us.
So finally, do you feel like there's an anti-Trump movement going on right now? And can a Republican governor be beat in a Republican state?
So one of the classes I teach at ASU is statistics and survey methods. And I will tell you the numbers are there to win. It's two things. I call it a Trump bump. It's basically, and I don't mean to get too technical, a statistical overrepresentation of Democratic turnout since November 2016. Kind of the blue wave people are talking about. That is coming. But our campaign has the ability to do something unique. Above and beyond that, get out to populations in Arizona that feel disenfranchised right now, that feel like they're not being talked to, that they're not part of the conversation. Add those votes to this organic blue wave, and there's where you have the numbers to win.
David Garcia, we're out of time, but just quickly, border wall, yes or no? And National Guard troops at the border, yes or no?
No to Trump's wall at the border. And with respect to National Guard troops, the mission that they were sent out to do, I think, is over, and we need to pull them back.
Okay. Thank you so much for spending time with us this morning.
Thank you.
We are going to have the other candidates on. They're scheduled coming up in the next week or so. So we appreciate your time and having this conversation with you guys at home. We'll be right back.